Welcome back to the World Heavyweights live on WorldSports.com. Easy, Spinball Rex, Ramen Raxter, XXNX, Flatty, Broder. What was yours? Lover's Lane?
Lover's Lane, Broder.
I don't have one yet, but we do have a special guest joining the show. Ben Raven. Shout out to him for being the real one and being the only guy watching the defense today. I felt like everyone was on the offensive side.
Yeah, there's a lot going on offense, but I'm excited to hear what he's got to say about the defense because I saw some nice things when I was peering over, and I also saw some nasty things like Darren Waller.
We got Ben Raven from Men Live joining the show right now. What up, though, man?
What's going on? What's up? The heavyweight beat writer on the heavyweight show, finally.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Dude, the beard's immaculate, man. I gotta say.
It is looking pretty good in this Detroit light right now. I'm not going to lie. I like this angle I got working right now.
Speaking of angles, man, you seem like the only guy to be reporting on the defensive side of the ball today, watching the first team against the Giants. What were your biggest takeaways?
Yeah, my biggest takeaways is that Kirby Joseph, everything we kind of been seeing through him, through the spring, through training camp, it's real. It showed up today. I mean, he's near the ball every time it's thrown his way. I mean, he didn't have any miscues in coverage to my mind or anything like that. And I mean, that's and most importantly, him and CJ Gardner-Johnson have been the two safeties with that first team. It's been Tracy rotating in with the second team. And I mean, I love Tracy just as much as the next guy, but that's a ball hawking back end of the defense right there, especially with those upgrades at cornerback. And I mean, Kirby looked good today. John Kaminsky looked good today. And I mean, Levi Onwuzurike, working with the second and third teams, but noteworthy. Had a sack, had a run stop. Dude's out there on the field. I mean, that's positive. That's positive. Anything that dude's doing right now is positive.
That's actually huge.
Yeah, I love hearing that because we thought, last year, is the guy going to be able to play ever again? Dealing with a back injury like that, being a fellow heavyweight, we know, what that can do to a guy. But outside of that, this guy, I coined a nickname for this man, Jack Campbell, also known as the Meat Missile.
No, don't.
How is he looking? How is he looking out there going against the Giants?
Nothing crazy noteworthy today because it was a pretty strong rotation of Campbell, Barnes, and Rodriguez next to Alex Anzalone out there with that first team defense. But I mean, he's just solid, and I mean the thing that's really going to work to Jack Campbell's favor as a rookie is his length and his speed and his size, and it makes up for those rookie mistakes and those rookie insecurities. I mean, this guy's going to be legit. I kind of fully expect him to be the day one starter next to Anzalone. He's pick 18 for a reason. I mean, he's done enough in practice. Quiet day today don't concern me because, I feel like I already know who that guy is and who he's going to be because he's got that kind of you just can't teach his size and that length and that speed. I mean, he's already going to be one of their best coverage backers, if not already, on day one.
That's why I call him the Meat Missile. Big, girthy, and fast.
You sound uncovered.
That's what it's all about.
Speaking of big, girthy men, how does Broderick Martin, man? I know he was getting some reps with the first team during the early weeks of training camp. And when I watched the red zone reps, I think it was Isaiah Bugs in. Is he still doing well?
Yeah, absolutely. I just think the more as we get closer to the season, Bugs is going to see a lot more of those first-team reps, and that's okay because Broderick is going to get his snaps. I mean, he has shown, just a lot of growth. Just so much more growth, and he's so much further along than I personally expected him to be. It's such a football cliche thing to say, but, he is high. He gets high. His pads are high, but he is so wide in there. And he has some natural instincts against the run that are really going to kind of fit well with what they're trying to do on the defensive line. That's a reason McNeil's playing a lot more 3 technique because they actually have some girthy guys that can stuff a run and clog a couple lanes down there. And Broderick had a couple good looks today. They didn't do a lot of individual work, offensive line versus defensive line, but I thought he had a really, really strong rep against, I think it was the Giants' second team guard. But arrow forward for him. He's already further along than I thought he was going to be, and they need all the help they can get on that interior defensive line.
I agree. I remember Dan Campbell Asher specifically saying he wanted some girthy guys.
Yeah, some girthy guys in there. Terry Foster says he loves having a guy with a big ass in there. So you need some guys like that on the line for sure. One thing I saw from, obviously, we were sitting in the stands like peasants watching these happen on the offensive side, but I noticed Chauncey Gardner-Johnson lit somebody up on the sideline when he was coming down the sideline. Do you remember what happened on that play and who it was on?
Yeah, it was either 3 or 83, so it was either Slayton or Sterling Shepard, but he just kind of came down. That was one of those plays that Kirby was just so tight in coverage, and it was just the receiver was so locked into who was on his hip that he forgot to look for the other safety. And I mean, Kirby had one of those too, just big hits down the middle. I mean, it kind of ticked. I heard some New York media members that sit next to me on the bleachers is kind of like, oh, it's unnecessary. And it's just like, man, these practices, but I mean, that whole practice today felt like 75%. It didn't feel like a full unleashed game speed practice. So like you get a couple moments like that. I mean, of course it's coming from CJ Gardner-Johnson too. I mean, that's just the way that guy hits his own teammates too. So yeah, that's great things from the back end of that defense.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta ask though. You said with the pairing of CJ, DJ, and Kirby at the safety positions, who was in at the nickel cornerback spot when that was going on?
Man, Brian Branch is getting a decent amount of looks. I mean, he's earned a lot of looks. He's getting a lot. Like the first 7 days of camp, it was CJ in that nickel spot, just Tracy and Kirby, and just the last, I'd say 8, 9, 10 days, it's been Kirby and CJ with Branch and a nice kind of healthy dose of Jacobs and Starling Thomas with Cam Sutton out there with Mosley still out. But yeah, it's Brian Branch season right now. He is he's looking like the guy everybody thought he was going into the draft. I mean, he has been as advertised, and there's not a play where he's not trying to punch the ball out. He's got a quiet to him.
Hell yeah.
That answer can't stop me from smiling right now, man.
Yeah.
It's
Brad Holmes just doing Brad Holmes things.
It's so crazy. It feels like too good to be true, but it's true. All of it's true. It's happening. Yeah.
And one thing I wanted to ask, 'cause the first day we were at camp, I didn't really notice James Houston out there as much. This was last week. I didn't really see him doing much. Today, I saw him a couple times, especially Today I had time because in those red zone drills where he had one tackle for loss where he went screaming down the defensive line to make the tackle. Did you see a lot of James Houston on the opposite end of the field there, and was he making some plays?
Yeah, you feel bad for the third-string Giants offensive line because they're going against just a bottle rocket from hell, man. I mean, seriously, the dude's got some pass rush moves that just you can't believe. He's just got such an elastic speed to him. I mean, I saw they released the unofficial depth chart today, and Houston has been repping, on the back and second and third team, and I mean, he's been looking like a freaking problem without question. I mean, that's just one guy. He might not get 25, 30 reps like everybody wants, but he's going to have 15, 20 reps a game where he's being an impactful third down, second and long pass rusher. Just is that's going to be like a secret weapon to throw out there on the field with fresh legs late in the first or late in the second quarter. I mean, as long as he's comfortable with being a part of a rotation like that, I think they got something special there. Just a real special. I mean, he's a specialist. As a specialist, I mean, he's just he's trying to get better across the board. But I think just focus on what he does best right now, and you've got a serious disruptor coming off the.
Hell yeah.
Now, with Charles Harris having the starting spot over him, does he look the part? Like, is Charles Harris making plays out there throughout training camp and I guess today in joint practice too?
Charles Harris is so sound against the run. They're actually having him do a lot more stuff in coverage too, and I've really felt like it's Charles Harris from 2021. It kind of feels like the same exact guy. It's been like a really good sign where Romeo kind of hasn't been the Romeo yet. There's still a lot of time. Charles Harris is kind of picked off where he left off before last year. Just groin injury on top of groin injury slowed him down finally. But I think Harris and Kaminsky are going to be the two best run defenders on the edge for them this year, I feel like, and Harity invaluable in what he's been doing so far. And if he looks like he's looking right now, I mean, that's kind of he deserves all the reps he's going to get.
Yeah, that's for sure. And we've also heard, going back to that interior defensive line, guys that move around. You said Kaminsky had a big day. I know Pascal was getting a lot of play in those red zone drills. What did he do on the other side of the field there?
He's just like a little mini Kaminsky right now. Honestly, he's not blowing up, but he just kind of, you can see him getting better and more confident. And he really does just seem like he's so much stronger than I kind of expected him. I feel like maybe that was the core injury last year and then the leg injury early in his rookie season. I feel like a fresh Josh has a really good defense, but I felt like Kaminsky, he might have been the best defensive player next to Kirby on the field today. I mean, honestly, up and down the defensive line, on the outside, on the inside, he was just creating pressure. I mean, there were 2 or 3 plays where him and Aiden just completely broke the tackles and smashed the pocket together. I mean, that was Kamish is looking exactly like they want him. I mean, he's not the guy you think of when you think of this team's top players, but if he plays like that for teams all year, he's going to be making himself some even more money and stability down the line.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I saw Kaminsky get back there a couple of times too when they finally came to our side of the field in the red zone drills. But even Pascal too. Like I read the articles, everyone's talking about like how strong his hands are. Then I got to see it today too. He like just lifted up this guard today like a child almost. It's pretty impressive, man. It's nice to have some depth and rotation pieces there on the defensive line finally.
Absolutely. Broderick Martin.
Yeah. I do want to ask one question before we let you go into the Tigers game. Starling Thomas, what has been your impression of him throughout camp? And I've said before, right when the show started, I think he's a lock to make the roster. I watched him on special teams a little bit today too, getting a little fiery as well. Are you in agreement, or what do you think about Starling Thomas so far?
I literally wrote today, he's not only fighting for a roster spot point now where he's fighting in that cornerback depth chart and climbing the ladder. Like Starling Thomas is kind of like himself as like a dude who's gonna have a real chance at seeing real game reps if he keeps practicing and doing what he's been doing. I mean, it's just been every day. It's like it's almost too easy to compare him to Jerry Jacobs, but that's literally who I see on the field. It's just in your face. It's feisty. He had an interception in one-on-one drills today. I think it was on Lawrence Cager, who's just big body tight end / receiver, and I mean he just jumped the route, got the pick. I mean he's a couple rookies in those red zone drills, but he's just 125 miles an hour with everything he does, and it's just they love guys like that. I mean they could use enough Jacobs with or without Emmanuel Mosley for week 1. I mean that's going to be they love guys like that. I mean Starling Thomas, I mean that's been a dark horse, one of the better players in camp. I mean he's stealing somebody's job almost, it feels like.
Yeah, I saw Chase Lucas dap him up, and I was like, I don't know. Chase knows. Does he know? I got to ask you before I let you get going. One, I want you to shout out to yourself and where people can find your articles. But also, I saw on your Twitter bio today, Combat One official. What's up with that?
Yo, I'm the play-by-play guy at one. You're the Woodward Sports guy, man. Darren McCarty. I raised his hand in the middle of the ring at one of our last shows. But yeah, I've been play-by-play guy for Combat One Wrestling. Find all that stuff on IWTV, the independent wrestling TV app. Been doing that for a year, and that's been kind of like a little dream come true for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to wear this. Yeah, have you got to slide through one of those events, man? Come say what's up. That's dope.
Hit up DMAC.
Oh, for sure. That's perfect, man. And then shout yourself out, your Twitter handle, and where people can find your articles. MLive.Lions, where everything I write goes. And Twitter at Benjamin S. Raven over there. That's where I'll be most of the time. All right.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you. Thanks for joining the show. Appreciate the insight.
Thank you, guys.
Have you on again, bro.
Have fun at the Tigers game.
Yeah.
That's hype, man. That's hype.
That's dope.
It's good to get that perspective from the defense. Because like I said, we were chilling in the bleachers like peasants on the offensive side. But
Ben's a real one too. Ben's a cool guy.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Hey, go check out his work. He's a really good writer.
Yeah, he writes.
He writes really good writer.
Writes for the Lions on MLive.com. So make sure you guys go check that out.
For sure.
We had his Twitter handle on the screen, so you can look him up there, and I'm sure he shares all his stuff on Twitter as well.